Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McEllis, and I am here with Toni Ghazi, who channels the Mantis Beings. And we're going to talk about a multitude of things, but we're really going to focus on addiction. We've been trying to connect Tony's schedule. He's real estate by day and Mantis carrier beings of spiritual love all over the world. So I feel so blessed to have him here. And the funny thing is, Tony and I live 20 minutes from each other. We've never met in Washington, D.C. We've met in Sedona multiple times, which is hilarious. Um, so anyway, I have this kind of black and blue eye and this scar on my face because I had to have basal cell carcinoma removed. And although the actual mark was small, they have to do a lot bigger incision. And then it was a little more than entailed. So I'm kind of sporting around my recovery face for right now, which is perfectly fine. And I'm trusting in the universe that it will heal well. So if you want to throw a loving hug my way, I appreciate it. And to all of those who might be going through something that we don't understand right now, to live through our hearts, by our hearts, the laws of our heart, and govern through compassion and acceptance of who we are individually, which will help us be more accepting, compassionate, loving, and empathic for others and what they're going through instead of always being laser focused on me, and all my problemos. So, enough said there. Tony, what's a happening, brother?
Hi, Sandra. It's so good to see you. And yes, we literally live 20 minutes away. I'm in DC, she's in Bethesda, like a stone's throw. And we barely see each other. We've never met here, really. We've only met while we're traveling, which is
Yeah,
insane. But
yeah.
that's how spirits orchestrate our meetings, and we trust. We totally trust. So, now, what's been going on? Oh my God, life has been going on. There's so much going on. I'm a realtor. You guys may see me in magazines and things and whatever. Very busy. While traveling, speaking on stage, public speaking, channeling aliens, specifically praying mantises, speaking to corporations and leaders and CEOs and executives, how to lead with heart consciously. So, a lot going on. But today, we're going to focus on, through the mantises, we're going to talk about addiction, whatever they're going to say. Um, and about your face, my love, your nose. Like, let's bring that in for a second. Thank you for being real and coming to reality as you are. You know, because oftentimes people have whatever surgeries, whether plastic surgery or a condition or something, and they hide for weeks until they're perfect again to appear. We keep perpetuating the idea of perfection. Everything's perfect. Even this is perfect. Being under the knife is perfect. Like everything, meeting that aspect of you that, like, realize you have the sarcoma, whatever it's called. I'm sorry, whatever the name is, like the medical term is. It's all opportunities to see God in everything, and that's what the praying mantis beings are all about. And for your audience out there that don't understand praying mantis beings, but this just helps your mind a little bit understand. It's the insectoid being, yes. I know, may sound wild, crazy. Forget about that term. It's all the same thing. God consciousness, Christ consciousness, Mother Mary consciousness, Buddha consciousness. Every religion, every higher power, higher self, all of it is the same form. Praying mantis, Arcturian, Pleiadian, this, that, Jesus, whatever, are just archetypes for our physical mind, for our logical mind that's constructed to understand something that's much larger. All of it is just essence and intelligence, okay? So, unconditional love and to see God in everything. How do we shift our lens to begin to see the world, the experience, my personal experience, my story, your personal experience, your story, from a love without conditions? Like, how can I find the God in everything? Because God is in everything, guys. It literally is. The praying mantis beings always talk about, if anything is being created, like, listen, something is being created, even the idea of a surgery, even the idea of having this like condition, whatever the name is now, whatever it is you're going through, if you have cancer, if you have lower back issues, and I'm gonna stand up and be real, I have lower back issues and I have this like corset thing with metal on my back because yesterday my back like gave out a little bit, so I need support. So whatever we go through, We've been so conditioned to push it away, that I'm broken, this is not good, this is bad. Oh my God, like the universe is punishing me. The idea of punishment, heaven and hell, all bullshit, guys. Bullshit. Bullshit, not in a judgment way, but bullshit in the way that that's the old paradigm of fear, the old paradigm of being disempowered, that I don't have the power to heal myself, that it has to come from outside. I grew up Christian, guys, all of my life. So I'm 46 years old, born in 1980. I like saying 80 because 80s babies are cool. You know, and until COVID came, I was completely asleep, knew nothing about spirituality, channeling, nothing woo. All I knew is Christianity. You know, I was born Greek Orthodox. I'm Lebanese, moved to the US when I was 15. So Christianity was all my thing, praying to God and Mother Mary and Jesus and to all the saints. And I even have my saint here, which is Saint Charbel. He's performed 33,000 miracles all over the world. He's a real deal. Anyhow, the point is, when I would pray for these beings, I'm praying for them outside of me because I am so disempowered. I'm waiting for them to change my life, praying for them to give me more money, praying for them to give me success or healing or whatever. We've been conditioned. Power is outside of us. The power is here. We are the powerful beings. We create our reality. So when we begin to realize, when we are faced with these repetitive paradigms from a disempowered state, it's repeating because it's an opportunity for us to fall into our power, to begin to realize. I went to Great Falls for your audience that are within our area. Like, you guys know Great Falls, the Virginia side and like the Maryland side. I live near American university, so like the Maryland side is a bit closer to me, and I haven't been to the river or because I go meditate and like sit by the river and in the sun, and I haven't done it for 3.5 months because I've been traveling like insane, and it was cold too on top of it. So I go 3 days ago on Sunday. It was a beautiful day, and I lay on a rock. And I go in the middle of the wild. Like, I don't like to be where the path is and dogs and people and everybody's talking on their cell phones and being in the 3D. I want to be in the wild, away from humans, just being like with nature. And I take a nap on this rock underneath a small tree where like the sun was coming through the leaves, and just I literally like take a beautiful cat nap for 10 minutes, and I wake up half delirious, half awake, half like not awake, and I sit in a meditative position, and I'm just in that half asleep state, right, where you're dreaming and not dreaming. And literally I heard, and I have a video on my social media, literally I heard, liberate us, liberate us, liberate us, 3 times. Liberate us, liberate us, liberate us. And I'm going like, what? You're not in prison to begin with. What are you talking about? These were my cells, my human cells that are in me are saying like, liberate us. In literally in that half state is where you're kind of out of the construction of the mind and the ego and the identity and what reality is, and you kind of have easy connection to something much larger. And literally my cells told me, we are not designed to heal. We are not designed to be complete. We are not designed to like form a limb. We are not designed to reorchestrate ourselves in our divine in our like divine way. We are not designed. Like, we're not designed. We are not broken. We have the power. It's your belief system, meaning me. It's my belief system that prohibits them from being the most intelligent, magical, indestructible, infinite beings, having access to all the wisdom, to all the healing within myself. It literally, I could not believe myself. Like, I could not believe I heard that. I mean, I hear a lot of things all the time, but that moment was like my cells talking to me, and couldn't believe that. I was like, wow, I didn't like realize that within my own self, I'm still feeding my cells the idea that I'm broken, that my back hurts, that I'm not enough, that I need this pill to heal, that I need this like corset to do, that I need to stretch to do this, that I need, you know what I mean? It clicked in that moment beyond the logic that my beliefs, our belief systems are everything. Everything. What will unlock the freedom into our knowledge and wisdom and healing, or that will lock the door with shackles and allows us to experience the idea of suffering. But even within that, within the idea of suffering, is God, is beauty, is creation. Because if even the idea of suffering is being created, listen, created, there's a creator behind it, creating it. The real question is, why am I creating that for myself? Why, as the creator, however you believe, in your expanded state. Why is that being created? There's always a reason why. There's always not a lesson in terms of I learned a lesson today. It's just an expansion of an idea, an expansion of what is. And that's what spirituality is all about, guys. It's not that I'm like meditating every day, having a great life, successful. This side of the spectrum that it's easy for our minds to receive. That I'm sending love. I'm love and light, love and light, love and light. Yeah, that is one aspect of the infinite. But the other aspect of the infinite is the darkness, the aspects of us that are buried, which addiction, we can segue into addiction, all these other aspects of us, the emotional traumas we've gone through, conscious to us or unconscious to us. I've mentioned this before, I think on your first podcast. I was sexually molested when I was a kid. I lived through the Lebanese civil war, exactly what's going on in Lebanon and Israel and the whole Middle East and every part of the world right now with the wars and bombings. That's what I lived through as a child. So I have no idea what my physical body has stored. And I like lived in Lebanon for the first 15 years. So in the war happened, I don't know, from the age 5 to age, I think 9 or 10, so 5 years or something. I don't know. Anyhow, we don't know what our nervous system has received and pushed away because it was so overwhelming to feel. I also stuttered all of my life, and I still do stutter. That was the most. This is worse than to me. It was worse than molestation and worse than the war for me not to be able to speak, to stutter. And right now I'm not stuttering because I use and like to help me transition. But when I was a child to the age 25, 26, I literally stuttered with every word. I couldn't speak. Like, for your own body to fail you, not to be able to speak when everybody else is speaking. You go to school, you need to speak, you're required to speak at work and jobs. So anyhow, the point is we all go through these traumas and I'm still uncovering them. I mean, I have sexual addictions and I'll be real with your audience. I'm not here to pretend I'm this perfect thing. And I'm always on stage. I tell people, I'm as real as you are. I have this ability to become my multidimensional self and bring in an aspect of me that remembers the wholeness of who I am. But once I'm back to my real me, I'm dealing with the same shit everybody else is going through. I have sexual addiction. It could be, and I know that it is part of molestation. And when I was molested, I haven't even unpacked that. It comes in little like spurts and comes in little, you know, small seeds. Things like open up a little, like little by little. Like the war aspect, I don't know if that's also intertwined with this. We also were beaten when like we were kids by our parents, by our grandparents, as a form of punishment, like raising your kids. Like literally, it's a form of abuse. Like, I mean, but like back then, my parents and my grandparents and like the culture didn't see it as abuse. They saw this how you raise a child to be a good boy or good girl. So all these layers we go through, we have no clue as a child, unless you have clear memory of the overwhelming feeling, the state of fear, the state of anxiety, the state of not knowing how to process it as a child that gets buried and you disassociate. I've disassociated. I'm learning that now. Like all of last year, I've done a lot of retreats and I'm going to Mexico in like 4 weeks for another like self retreat. And my husband's coming with me, like to do plant medicine and to work and go deep into my shadows, into my fields. Oftentimes we're unaware because they're buried so deep down, that programming of being abandoned, not being loved, feeling unworthy. Good Lord, I probably have felt that because the idea of love that I experience to others is not the idea of love I feel within myself. So all of us have these things. So how do we begin to deal with them? How do we begin to unpack them? Where in the hell do you begin? And there's no destination, guys. There's never and this is where you have to be careful. This is where you become conscious of the judgment of self. There is no resolving something. There is no healing something. There is no getting to a destination where now I am in a wholesome state. Because the irony of it is we're wholesome to begin with to even create the illusion of unwholesomeness. Depending on your spirituality and how expanded into oneness you are, some of the things that I'll mention will trigger you. You'll be like, what the hell is he talking about? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And some will get it. Just I invite you, when you are being triggered, triggers are another like mechanism of defense. We're only triggered if somehow within our field, with our layers of definition, we identify with. Because if you didn't identify with it, consciously or unconsciously, oftentimes it's unconscious to you, that's why you get triggered. If you don't identify with it, it literally will go over your head. Literally. If I cuss you out I don't like Arabic right now, or if I say a bad word to you in any other language you don't understand, it means nothing to you. It literally will go over your head with no meaning, nothing. It has no power. But because we've been conditioned, like certain things mean something, and you identify with it consciously or unconsciously to you, if it's buried, triggers are an invitation. So challenge yourself. Why did I get triggered? Because really, I didn't trigger you. Sandra did not like trigger you, or the other speaker didn't trigger you. I cannot trigger. I cannot cause anything to you. You identified with whatever was said somehow within you that allowed an alarm bell, ding, 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 ding. That perhaps is too overwhelming. You want to push it away and blame it on someone, right? Because I probably have done this when I was a child. As I was being molested, I experienced a war. As I was being punished, as I was like stuttering, all these overwhelming emotions that I couldn't allow myself to even feel, that I had to literally bury them, repress memory, and construct an image of who I am, construct an image of what I just went through as perhaps I didn't go through it. Because for the longest time I couldn't remember what my childhood was. I have no memories of anything beyond 10 or 12. And I have friends who are like, oh, I remember when I was 3 years old. I remember even when I was in my mom's womb. I'm like, are you joking me? I barely remember when I was 10. So why do I not have memories? Could it be repressed memories? Probably. Could I not need to remember it? Sure. Am I making it? Could I be making a big deal over it? Maybe. I have no idea. But the inquisitiveness of self, to allow myself to begin to unpack it and not run away from it anymore, and allow myself to perhaps to begin to remember, allow myself to see it from a different perspective, have the intention, tell God, tell the universe, whoever you believe in, that I would like to revisit aspect of me that I don't remember anymore. That intention alone will allow the synchronicity, the reorchestration of the world, of your universe, of your of the patterns to reorchestrate, to allow you to begin to see things. So what's addiction? What is addiction to you, like Sandra? Let me hear your voice now. I feel like I spoke a lot. What does addiction, and there's no right or wrong, love, and even for the audience, as you begin to contemplate what that is, there is no wrong. We don't know everything. We're all uncovering it together as a team. So how do you see addiction, love?
So, for me, I mean, I see it in so many different forms because it comes out in different behaviors, right? Depending on what the addiction is.
Yeah.
Um, but generally, it's like a relapsing chronic brain disorder is what, a clinical diagnosis would be. And, I ask myself, well, why does one have it and the other not so bad? Or why would one have it worse and the other not? And I can't wait to dive in with the mantis to understand, is it from trauma you brought in? Is it from a current trauma in this lifetime? And then how do we work through that? So I really can't wait to get into that. But addiction is something, I think, that it's repetitive, and then it restructures your chemical, physiological self to now it has a whole different neuro pathway it's working with instead of in its original form. And I'm not sure you can ever get back the original form, but you can get it to some homeostasis so it can be gained as a power to you, not a defeat, not a something that's shameful and harmful. Because there's nobody who's absent of falling into any of this for any reason. And so many people have it in minute ways all day long. If you stopped and think about it, every single person has basic, whether it's to your schedule, right? And if you think of somebody who, like, this is what I do every day and I didn't get an opportunity to do it and it wrecks your whole day. Well, where was that habit and addiction? And then it derailed you. So I guess that's kind of it for me in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Perfect. I love it. And like they're already here because I feel them speaking as you were speaking, and they probably are going to pose that question to you again.
Okay.
Just for your audience, in case you haven't experienced the praying mantis beings, again, if that's too much to handle, forget about praying mantis. Higher power, higher intelligence. It's just an archetype to understand something larger. They're surgeons of words. That's the best way I've learned to begin to describe them too. They allow you to become conscious, not just you, but us as people as we speak, allow us to become conscious of how we are formulating words to describe what we are describing, because oftentimes the formulation of the words in the description is the pathway that leads you to become conscious of what you are unconscious of. So they are going to ask that question for you because they're going to dissect what you said. Not
Okay.
right or wrong, none of that. Just to allow your audience to see like you'll see like when they come in and speak, it's hard to describe. They have to like do it like their own way. Um, because they're gonna hone in on the idea of disorder. So
Okay.
make sure to mention that word. And if,
Okay.
and if you forget, they're probably like bring it in because they're already saying there is no disorder.
Okay. Okay. Well, I cannot wait
Let's
to
do that.
unpack some of their side. So we'll do that.
Perfect. And as a friendly reminder, please get me out when you're ready
Yes, I
because
will.
otherwise I'll be in it for a while.
Okay.
And here we go.
I'll come get you, Tony.
Thank you, my love. Just for your audience, when I go in the channel state, my eyes are closed and I go into a deep trance that I lose track of time and everything. I'm here and not here really. I'm into like multiple like dimensions at once that I could like channel for the next 5, 6 hours unknowingly. So this is why I asked Sandra to bring me back because otherwise, go ahead.
Yes, and I know sometimes they come in with a message first and then they ask, what is my question? Is that how we're going to? Okay. I just want to
Yes.
make sure I don't.
Yes. And yeah, yeah. And they may bring a message, they may not. I just don't know. And it may be very brief. It may not be necessary to bring a long message. It'll be quick. They'll be in and they may say you're welcome to ask questions. But yes, they will say you're welcome to ask questions so you know that point to begin.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And like for the audience, if you're listening to this and driving, please keep your eyes open. Just open your heart. And if you're not driving in this moment, you're welcome to close your eyes. And throughout the duration of this whole dialogue, you're welcome to close your eyes. Closing eyes helps the mind relax and gets you in a state of deeper trance. But this doesn't mean you cannot be with open eyes in a deeper trance. Just follow your heart. There's no right or wrong way. Okay. And just witness what's about to unfold. And from the Antares Stargate, we come through in this way to co-create with you this beautiful reality of oneness, to merge our hearts with your hearts, to be one with you in this way, to be one with the energies of the divine that each and every one of you are. And as we connect with you in this way, we are here to remind you that each and every one of you are the voices of creation. Each and every one of you are the lens in which creation sees itself through. That's your story, your life, your experience, the way in which your unfoldment has occurred through your lens is the point. And that is what ascension truly is all about. That is what awakening truly is all about. Not to arrive to a destination of perfection, not to arrive to a destination of being more whole, not to arrive to a higher state of being. It is to simply become conscious and aware of what has already unfolded and what continues to unfold in this every now moment of your own story, of your own creation, is God, is the point, is the expansion, is the wholesomeness. So open your hearts fully to the unknown. Open your hearts to the jolting of the mind, to the rattling of the identities, to the earthquake of your own awakening. Because in order for you to awaken at times, it is important for you to deconstruct what has already been constructed through the idea of forgetfulness and limitation and polarity. And with that, our dearest ones, we will connect with you in this way. You are welcome to pose your questions when you are ready.
Thank you, Mantis, and welcome. I'm so honored to have you here. So the topic is about addiction. And from your perspective, at its core, biological, emotional, and energetic, what is addiction in this human race?
Yes, we will describe to you the illusionary experience that you experience addiction in. But in order for us to allow you to comprehend something that is much larger in essence, as in reality, the idea of addiction does not exist. The idea of addiction itself, the experience of what you think is addiction, is a little blip in an infinite time that within your unconscious belief system, believe it is something a lot larger. So for the human context, and in order for us to describe that idea from human language, the limited words to understand something unlimited, what does addiction mean to you, our dearest one? How do you see it from your lens and perspective?
From my lens, I I can see it in a couple different ways. I can see it a habit forming something that is to the detriment of your brain and your body over a period of time. And then I can also see it as something has occurred that either is a disconnect from home base, your heart base, your soul base, to the human form and reality of living in this vehicle. So I see it from a multitude of different ways, high and low. But when one consumes and is consumed by the addiction, their life path is very different, in my point of view, than what it could be if the addiction wasn't the driving force.
We will stop you there, our dearest one, because there is a lot to unpack. Our And we are grateful for what you have shared so far, the multidimensional view in which you have the ability to see things. And it is important with each view to dissect the reasoning and the conscious awareness of why a human, you or someone else, would say these words, because within them are the keys to the answers that you are attempting to understand, to the idea of limitation and logic. You have mentioned the word initially of
Disorder.
yes. But then before the channel, after the channel came in, when we came in, you just mentioned the idea of the mind being a letter that begins with a D,
I don't remember now.
derailment, or something along the
Something
line.
along those, yes.
Yes. And we will get back to the idea of disorder. Let's assume you said the word derailment, that the mind gets orchestrated in a way that isn't the path. That in itself is a state of judgment, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And be mindful. And these are the idea of destinations that each and every one of you have been conditioned to believe that there is. And the looping factor, the idea of, you also have mentioned through your third lens, we will say, the idea of repetitive actions, behavior that keeps repeating over and over again, that seems to place the human on a path that otherwise would be on a different path, yes?
Yes.
But within what you said, there is also another layer of judgment, as if this repetitive path, this looping effect, this continuous addictive behavior is not the path. That somewhere else, some other path is of value. And that is where the fallacy lies. That is where the internal programming of your society, of your education, of your religion, of your unconscious system in a way, because you are conscious of what you are conscious of to a point, and based on that state of consciousness, you create actions, make behaviors, allow yourself to be, experience things. What we are allowing you to become conscious of is the looping and repeating behavior oftentimes happens within the being, within the human, him or herself, because they have not received that action with heart. They do not see even the act or the state of being of addiction as being a form of God. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
There is a self-judgment built in within the self because society has taught you. Shall you be addicted to any form of reality, may it be sexual, may it be cleaning, may it be eating behaviors, may it be relationships, may it be work-wise, may it be addiction to alcohol, to drugs, to whatever it is. There are infinite forms of addiction. Although you fall into that pattern, within that pattern itself, you are continuously judging yourself that you are in a bad spot, that you need to get out of this, that you need to heal this broken aspect of you. The moment you begin to honor fully what is as a form of creation and allow it to simply be what it is the moment that will spin you out of that loop, a repetitive loop, to allow you to experience a different shade of infiniteness, and it may be a different shade of addiction. But addiction in its essence isn't bad and is not a disorder. In fact, it is a very well ordered pattern, allowing you to remember and to see within yourself what you are unable to see. Because repetitive actions, which is similar to the idea of karmic cycle, yes, the karmic loop, what many of you describe as punishment. It is my karma to live this life. That is another fallacy. It is not a punishment. Karma, this repetitive action, is repeating over and over and over and over and over and again. Why? To allow you to begin to see it from a different lens, from a different perspective, from the lens of no judgment and love without conditions. That even though within your unconscious belief system, within the belief system that my addiction is a bad thing, how can I challenge myself to begin to see this form of creation, because addiction is a form of creation, as God? What am I blind to? Because my belief system allows me not to see what I can see within such a form. When you begin to challenge yourself from that lens, from that perspective of oneness, of integration, of the idea of God even resides within what I was conditioned to see God doesn't reside in, which is addiction, that will begin to spin you. It will begin to allow your eyes, your electromagnetic field, your energy in seeing and knowing and feeling and experiencing from a different lens and perspective. Because everything that is occurring in your life is occurring for a reason. And that reason, listen to us carefully, this is the grander point, that reason is of equal value to any other destination that you have conceived of that may have of a higher value. That even the idea of being in deep state of addiction and lost and confused is of the same and equal value as anything you have defined as healed state, awakened, or out of addiction. Is that clear?
Yes.
And those are the internal different shades of judgment that are wrapped in the illusion idea of love, when that love is conditional to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. And oftentimes that repetitive loop of addiction, regardless what type of addiction it is leading you. It is allowing you to face yourself and see yourself and go into that reason, the source of why that addiction began to begin with. So that is the pathway. That is the door, the clear door that you are standing in front of, holding the key, but not choosing to place that key into the hole, turning it and opening the door to see the trauma, to see the path that you have gone, to see the aspects of you that you have closed the door on, perhaps as a child, as a teenager, as an adult. Does that make sense?
It does.
And the way in which you frame what you are going through, the more that you continue to disempower yourself, that I do not have the knowledge and the wisdom within me, the more that you begin or continue to frame the idea of addiction from that lens. And even though you may not have the keys, you may not have the tools yet, you may not have the awareness of what is already within you, the intention alone to challenge yourself today, that I am going to experience the idea of addiction today from a different perspective, and I am going to speak to God, to the universe, to the one, to the all. I am going to declare that today I'm going to wake up and begin to see the idea of my addiction from a very different lens. God, Jesus, universe, Mother Mary, Krishna, Mantis beings, whoever you believe in, Arcturians, Pleiadians, higher self, whatever label you want to use, scream it out. Help me begin to shift my lens to see my addiction in a different way. That declaration alone is a spell. You are spelling out magic into the universe, allowing yourself, your higher self, to reorchestrate the fabric of the universe, to allow synchronicities to come back to your life, to allow you to see and witness and honor the idea of addiction from a very different lens. And from that integrated idea of wholesomeness, you begin to see the beauty of addiction. You begin to see the link, the interlinkage, the chain, the link, one after another, after another, after another, after another, leading you to the point where you begin to understand why that addiction began to begin with. And oftentimes it is related to the idea of emotions. Oftentimes it is related to the idea of feeling. Because each and every one of you came to earth as a soul, as an expanded forever intelligence. You have chosen specifically to come to earth, forget that you are the one, forget that you are empowered, and allow that forgetfulness to journey you on an emotion journey, energy and motion, yes?
Yes.
And oftentimes it is overwhelming for the physical body, for the system to feel your own power. Even the idea of sadness, when you fall fully into it, is overwhelming. Even the idea of happiness is overwhelming. Even the idea of unconditional love is overwhelming. And why is it overwhelming? Because it is expansive and it continues on and on and on and on and on. And how can such expanded infinite energy reside in such tiny, dense physical body? Yes?
Yes.
That is oftentimes what each and every one of you are running away from. And there is a form of addiction to run away from feeling love. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When in reality, that is what each and every one of you are attempting to awaken to the unconditional love of self, to the worthiness of who you are, to the godliness of who you are, to the interconnectedness of who you are, to the oneness of who you are, to the perfect order that each and every one of you are. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So it was interesting because I must have picked the D words today because I said disorder and then
Yes.
I said derailed. And then I started thinking about distorted, you distort your circuitry board,
Yes.
right? And then I was going back and forth to, well, we change our circuitry board, we redesign it when we go into meditation and go into prayer and go into heart-centered being of service. We reconfigure our whole cellular system within our physical body when we set our intentions. And sometimes I just felt like addiction was consuming someone. Maybe they didn't want to do it, but they were consumed by it. So I think my question next would be, does this lack of love or not feeling deserving or trauma come in from other lifetimes or happened in this lifetime? How much of that contributes to wanting to be in these altered states of consciousness through a form of addiction?
Yes. And for you, our dearest one, you already understand the idea of multidimensional nature, yes?
Yes.
That you are already connected and you are those timelines. There is nothing outside of you entering. There is no past. There is no future. There is only the now moment of creation, your own conscious aspect of who you are. And for your audience, depending on your level of awakening, depending on your level of how conscious you are as a vast being, how conscious you are that you are the access and you are that data and information of the many versions of you. Depending on where you are within your own field, you will comprehend the next statement from your lens. Do not judge yourself in that process. Allow what sinks in to sink in. The universe will orchestrate itself in a way by you listening to allow you to begin to see what is said from your perspective, and you will begin to awaken it from your field. Yes, within the idea of what you described, yes, there are aspects of the many lives, the many parallel lives that each and every one of you are living that perhaps we will say seep in, and it is not seeping from outside in. It is simply becoming conscious of your own interconnectedness with all. And oftentimes the idea of meditation, the idea of ascension, the idea of enlightenment, our dearest ones, has been drawn with the illusion that it is always rosy and happy, when in reality, the more you become awakened that you are a multidimensional being, the more that you expand the scope, your diameter of your own consciousness to a much larger, wider circle, you allow in the other conscious aspects of you. So in reality, the more conscious you become, the more you meditate, the more you expand, the more you allow yourself access to all of the other versions that are living those simultaneous lives. And shall there be themes of exploration that are necessary for your conscious awakening in this moment, you will have access to. And that in itself can also be overwhelming. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So when you begin to awaken, when you begin to define the idea of awakening, when you begin to listen to many teachers out there, and there are many beautiful teachers on your planet that are teaching from their perspective, be mindful at the discernment of self, because not everything that is being said out there may be relevant to your theme of exploration. Because in reality, all truths are true, yes?
Yes.
All realities exist. The infinite exists. So whenever people ask us questions about timelines or this or that, yes, the answer is yes to everything, because everything exists, as every form of the infinite exists. But the question is, what is relevant for your own consciousness? What is relevant for your own path? And you have the power, you have the discernment, you have the portal opening, or the door, you have the keys to allow a door to open or not open, to allow that stream of knowledge and access to enter your own consciousness, to begin to utilize it, heal it. We will say the word healing, but we say it from a unhealed state, but simply the integration of self, the bringing the many pieces that are unconscious to you to become conscious in this version of you. Is that clear?
Yes, and you mentioned something about the healing, and I'd already gotten a message prior that if everything is perfect as it is, it doesn't need healing.
Indeed,
But
because
we do need to pay attention to it if it's not serving us in the way that we feel we're here to serve. So in other words, releasing what doesn't serve you. And the other thing is accepting thyself where you are in this moment. You don't need to go all the way back and figure out what the root cause was, how it started. Redirect that energy to calibrate and recalibrate, yourself in this moment, to use what energies you do have in a constructive, formative way that helps you be present in the now moment. Does that make sense?
indeed, and thank you for mentioning the word of healing. Thank you for elaborating and giving us your lens in which you understand, because we will unpack the idea of healing and the judgment that is built in within such an idea. Even we will add to that the idea of forgiveness. When you say the idea of healing, that already denotes the other idea of brokenness, yes?
Yes.
Yes. When in reality, you are never broken to begin with. When in reality, you are awakening to the idea that you are never broken. That even the idea of the channel having lower back pains, even the idea of you going through the experience of surgery of the nose, even the idea of your audience perhaps having cancer or being paralyzed or having a disease or whatever it is, has already been constructed and believed in our system as something to fix. When in reality, that is a form of creation, when in reality, God resides within that form of creation. So even the idea of healing, when you become conscious to it, it is already a form of judgment to what already exists as God. You begin to not utilize anymore that word. And becoming conscious of the word usage, becoming conscious of your frequency, the lens in which you see the world, that perhaps when you awaken to the idea, healing state is never needed to begin with. What is left is witnessing and honoring what is. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. And that is the challenge. That is the breaking of the paradigm. That is the deconstruction of the identities. That is the deconstruction of those concepts of wholeness, of the idea of oneness, the idea of a higher power, as if there is a lower power to begin with. And that is another fallacy. But we will add the idea of forgiveness within the idea of healing, because they are similar, and there are many words within your vocabulary, your English language and other languages on your planet that already have the form of judgment built in within them, unconscious to you. When you say, I forgave myself, when you say, I forgave him or her, or I forgave them, in that moment, what you are saying is the act of forgiving that something is of less value to whatever other idea you forgave in your mind. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There is nothing to forgive. And what there is the allowance of self, the expansion of self to witness what is as a form of creation, as a form of love, unconditional. Because love, the idea of love that each and every one of you experience, although you throw in the word unconditional to it, is conditional. And you see, this is what you are awakening to. God, the universe, the one source, whatever label you place to the higher power, loves you unconditionally, without conditions, that it allows you to experience the infinite forms and shades of creation. That's how much you are loved, that you get the experience and the gift to experience your infiniteness, that even the lower back pain that the channel has, the surgery that the host is going through, whatever the audience is experiencing as a form of pushing away because you've been conditioned, shall I be broken? This condition is not God, is all forms of creation, allowing you to experience that shade of, and becoming conscious that that shade of that I'm attempting to push away is God, is ascension, is integration, because you are awakening that God is more than what you thought God is. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you. I know we focus a lot on, and this is why I want to dive so much deeper into this topic, is because we're only told through Google and certain things what addiction is, and then we can see it in the world, and it just doesn't seem like a happy place to be. So, do we see addiction as a form of disconnection from self, soul, or something greater?
Yes. And that belief system will allow the creation of such an experience. And that where the beauty lies, our dearest one. When you become conscious that I am a soul that have chosen through my free will, conscious or unconscious at times, to live out those realities and redefine what you just described, that is a form of God playing out through me, that awakening to what is occurring will shift you faster from that experience. Because the delay, we will say, the stretching of the time for such an addiction to loop longer and longer is the resistance, the not allowing yourself to see and accept the value and the worth even in such an addiction. Is that clear?
Yes.
Because nothing is of no value to creation, and everything is of equal value to everything else. We have said this before, even a deep state of addiction and forgetfulness is of equal value to the highest states of awakening that your mind is drawing it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, does that mean that the connection between addiction and being out of alignment is one purpose?
There is no out of alignment to begin with.
Thank you.
Everything is of alignment. But thank you for posing that question, because as you posed that question, you believed you were asking it from this expanded idea, but you just realized when I said the word out of alignment, I have judged that experience. There
Mhm.
is no out of alignment ever. That is the trick. To become conscious, everything is of alignment. And the word that we mentioned earlier is derailment. That is the word we could not articulate in your English language. There is never a derailment. Every path, every microsecond of the path is God and is the point and is there to be witnessed as that, but oftentimes you do not allow yourself to witness it as that.
So, if addiction can be the catalyst between spiritual awakening, I know people who live through their addiction because they love to be in these altered states of higher, what they feel is higher consciousness. So they're not totally physically 100% in the body, and they love living out there. Now, with all of the energies changing on this planet rapidly, and we're moving into these higher states of consciousness with the general collective, would some of these folks who are struggling with addiction, would this start to dissipate because the earth's energy is rising up to maybe meet this higher dimensional way of living, and they
Are
would no
you,
longer need the addiction because now the world is living a little bit more in altered states of consciousness? I just want to make sure that I'm clear, because I know I know you're going to come back and ask a questions, Mantis, and I'm trying to word it so that
you see our smile?
yes, thank you.
Are you ready
Thank
for
you.
such an answer?
Yes, thank you.
Is your heart open?
Yes.
And for your audience, open your heart for the next answer, our dearest ones. The idea of expansion, the idea of ascension, the idea of leaving the body, as you described it, regardless of the forms of addiction, of the many forms of addiction, isn't what ascension is. That is an illusion. That is an escape of where true ascension is. True ascension is coming back to your physical body and experiencing the idea of emotions, experiencing the idea of feelings, experiencing the totality of this density. That is what you are awakening to. That this dense life, this polarity, this separation, this forgetfulness, these aspects of addictions, and every other aspect of separation, when you become conscious of them as forms of God, is when you awaken internally. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, there are no powers outside of you. And regardless of the many humans on the planet, regardless of the collection, the collective, Mother Earth, however you describe it within your field of words, nothing is affecting you out therein. Everything is being created and co-created with inside of you out. And although many of you speak of the idea of one co-creation within a planet, many of you speak of the idea of the ascension of humanity, that there are, let's assume, 1,000,000 souls on earth awakened, and there are another 1,000,000,000 souls unawakened. That 1,000,000 souls will awaken the rest. That is not how it really works, our dearest ones. Everything is shifting and occurring within you, and you are the one that is shifting the lens in which you begin to experience the collection of the souls outside of you. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. And when you begin to become conscious of that and aware of that, that my belief systems, my choices, my awakenings, my life, my this, my that, my addiction, my separation, my forget, all of it is within me, allowing me to witness what is outside of me, because everything outside of you is a reflection of what's already happening within you. Yes.
Yes.
And although as you pose such a question or make such a statement, oftentimes for humanity, you are assuming the rest of the humans on earth are seeing the world precisely how you are. And that is another fallacy, our dearest one. Many of you speak of energies are shifting as if energies are shifting in one way. Each and every one of you are affecting energies in your own way and are experiencing the idea of the collective energy from your own lens. So although you say the idea of we oftentimes, including others, in reality, each and every one of the we's out there are experiencing very differently than you. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. Because each and every one of you are the projector of your own reality. We have given this analogy before, and we will help the audience see that in your mind. When you go to your theaters, to your movies, you are sitting in a comfortable chair. Right in front of you is a wall. On that wall, there is a movie playing out. How is that movie playing out? It is coming through a box you call a projector. Within that box, there are data, definition systems, inputs, and light comes out of it, reflecting onto the wall, showing you such a dance of creation, such a movie being playing out. But that movie isn't occurring truly on the wall. It is the definition of the light within the projector itself, and each and every one of you are that projector. So your belief systems, your thoughts, your experiences, your emotions, your addictions, your everything is what is coloring what you think you see outside of you. And oftentimes you attempt to change the outside thinking the inside will change. Well, that is impossible, our dearest one, because in order for you in the movie theater to change the input and output of what's being playing out on the wall, you have to go inside the projector itself. Yes?
Yes.
That's what each and every one of you are. So as you begin posing that question on your path, and we are not only speaking to you, our dearest host, we are speaking to everyone else who will be listening to this. When you are living out your life, asking questions, be mindful and become conscious how you are asking that question. When you are asking for change, asking for illumination, asking for expansion, asking for success, asking for healing, asking. Oftentimes you are asking it from outside in. Reframe that to inside out. And that's when you begin to see the magic happen. That's when the world around you reorchestrates itself. And what does that mean? You have changed the input within the projector, so now it is playing out a different movie or a different scene. Yes?
Yes.
You are the answer, our dearest one. Each and every one of you are. But you have not been conditioned since childhood to remember that. You have been conditioned everything exists outside of you. And that's where the fallacy exists within the idea of religion. Within the idea of religion, there are many beautiful teachings and concepts that lead you to self. But become mindful that nothing is outside of you, everything exists within you. And from that, the teachings of religion will shift and change, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm learning through all of this as I'm going through visuals in my head and I'm hearing messages through what you are, sharing. I'm actually reconfiguring all the ways and the words that I use to describe addiction now. And instead of saying someone is struggling with addiction, a better way to say it is someone's working through the self-identification program. That just came to me.
Yes.
And
And
yes, right?
yes, and we will add another idea for you and for your audience. I am witnessing this creator experience a facet of the infinite creation. Do you hear the empowerment? Do you hear the realization that we are not disempowering the addictor and we are empowering him? We are seeing him as the creator who is choosing for self to experience the infinite shades of creation. Many of you forget that the way in which you project and impose ideas of others sends codes of emphasis and re-empowerment within them. That the more you begin to see the idea of addiction or homelessness from a disempowered state, you are sending codes to that being of them forgetting that they are creators. But when you reshift and challenge yourself, whether or not consciously or logically you understand it, that is not the point. The point is the intention in which you choose to begin to communicate and dialogue with the universe from an expanded state of being. When I empower myself to push myself into beginning to say, you, the person I have seen you as being addicted. Today I am choosing to see you as the most powerful divine creator that is choosing through your infinite power to experience a shade of creation. I honor you fully for who you are, and I see you for what you truly are beyond that illusion. That experience alone within your fields awakens within them what they need to awaken to. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. Because in reality, that is what is occurring. This is not an imagination of a creator that we are asking you to say. What is occurring is precisely that. A God in front of you, living the idea of forgetting, living the idea of this density, living the idea of separation, living the idea of all these shades precisely to experience the shade of what you call addiction for their own expansion. So they can understand and taste what it means, this form of creation, as many other infinite forms that they will begin to experience. And to an expanded state, we will bring this to you. And for your audience, hold the seat very well. That is the next level of awakening, is when you begin to realize that everything else outside of me, every human outside of me, every experience everyone else is experiencing outside of me is truly a version of me. And that is the deconstruction. This is where the identity will explode into many pieces. This is where the resistance will come in. To come face to face that even that addicted person is truly me. That person that is causing atrocities on your planet is truly me. That version of Epstein within your community is also me. That Hitler out there is also me. That serial killer out there is also me, etc., etc. That is the next level of true expansion. To begin to realize and become conscious what seems to be separate than me, what seems to me to be a separate being playing out a separate role, is truly another version of me. And that is where integration is.
Yes.
Because none of it really exists. The idea of addiction, the idea of trauma, the idea of pain, the idea of war, the idea of perpetration, the idea of pedophilia, the idea of the very shunned aspect of creation, they are simply ideas and forms of creation. Because underneath of it all is creation. Even the players, the victims, and the perpetrators are gods in their own rights. Yes?
Yes.
Are infinite, indestructible living beings. Death doesn't exist. What exists is the infinite formation and reformation of self into the many shades.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because every time I have a conversation with the mantis, I have to look at my question. And
Yes.
I had a question that was, what practices help someone return to a state of wholeness or interconnection? And as I had looked at that, the words just came off the page. And it was like they're already in a state of wholeness and interconnection. It just might not be without judgment, shame, blame, and the current program that we have in the world. If we take that out of it, come into our heart centers, we already know that they're connected in a different way. But what practices could we, if we're going through addiction or know if someone's going through an addiction, what practices might be helpful? And I don't want to say speed the process along, but help there
Awaken.
be awakened to, oh, wow, maybe I want to change some of my choices in this moment because I am awakened.
Our dearest one, we will always take it back to the idea of questioning. And thank you for saying that, because oftentimes each and every one of you within your own private space, within your own private minds, not sharing with the world, are questioning that same question. Many of you perhaps have asked, through whatever condition you're going through, addiction or non-addiction, how can I get back to the state of wholesomeness? Yes?
Yes.
That in itself, posing a question to self, how can I get back to a state of wholesomeness, tells you that you believe you are broken and unwhole. And that belief system that where you are today is broken and not whole is the prison. And that's what you are awakening to, that precisely where you are today, the state of addiction that you are today, is the wholesome state of the conscious state of being that I'm in. Is God playing out that form, and love that version of you without conditions. Even though you may not comprehend yet how that looks like, how that feels, how that tastes like. You haven't yet challenged yourself to see what you have been resisting to as a form of God. That's why the looping continues. That's why the story keeps playing out over and over and over again, because it wants you to see it as God. So a practice that you can practically do on your planet is precisely talk to yourself with words. Become mindful and conscious of what story you are creating for yourself. That if you are saying to yourself, I want to cure this addiction, I want to heal this aspect of me, Become conscious that what you are saying is you believe you are broken, and go inside of why do you believe that you are broken, and challenge yourself to see and reword that story as, although I may not remember that I am whole, I desire through this path of addiction to remember again that I am whole. That intention alone will begin to awaken aspects, bring synchronicities, bring dialogue, bring people, bring documentaries, bring a page in a book, bring a song. Synchronicity will reorchestrate and redefine itself. Similar precisely to what we said about the idea of projectors and the definition within. When you begin to talk to yourself and reprogram that story within yourself, your reality will change outside of you. And that's what we mean the universe begins to reorchestrate itself. Yes?
Yes.
So rewrite that story consciously, the same story you have written over and over again of disempowerment. And as you rewrite it, we will tell you, you may not feel it yet. You may not taste it yet. It may not make sense yet. That is not the point. That is another prison. You allow yourself not to rewrite because you are living in the illusion of feeling it already, but that's not how it works. It begins with sending out the intention, redefining the field within your projector, reorganizing the data, and as it reorganizes, it reflects back in your reality, showing you precisely what wholesomeness is. Is that clear?
It is. And then I was going to mind of like, for myself, having a loved one going through, addiction for many, many years and watching the ups and downs and the in and outs and all kinds of just yo-yo physically, mentally, spiritually, etherically. I went through phases of feeling sorry for them, feeling bad for myself, having all of these low, dense frequencies. And if we know about energy, we know that every thought, every feeling we have about someone else is a mirror and also connected to them. So I'm feeding that line into them of this low density. So I had to really work on having my guide team show me how to bring that energy back into myself and to work on things within myself to dissolve any linear pass me downs, hand me downs of my own stuff onto anyone in my living, breathing DNA line. And that in turn helps others, right? I want to speak to people who have someone that they love closely who's going through this. How can we step back into ourselves, not be so consumed by the other person's addiction? How can we turn it around and empower ourselves and be in our heart centers and work on ourselves and not be so consumed by that other person's addiction?
Yes, our dearest one, thank you for posing such a question. As you know, there are multidimensional ways in which a person can begin to see such a question or an answer to a question from their lens. Keep in mind that although we keep speaking about the idea of remembering that you are a healed state, that you are never broken, many of you live the conceptual idea, what we call Disney flavored idea of what love is, what healed state is, what sending energy to, etc., etc. Until each and every one of you begins to identify with the frequency of what you say, meaning when you begin to say, I am an empowered being, I love myself, I am a healed version of myself all the time, I am never broken, all these things. Oftentimes you say them and regurgitate them like parrots. Although parrots are a lot smarter than you actually think, are a lot more conscious. But we are allowing you to become conscious of the things you repetitively say with words, but not embodying and living them within your field. That the moment you begin to live what you say, when you speak of the idea of unconditional love, speak of the idea of seeing others as empowered, speaking of the idea of not being consumed by other people's lives, etc., all shades of everything. When you begin to live them within yourself and begin to experience the idea of love without conditions to self, when you begin to realize that even though I am seeing someone else that is addicted, I also have a form of addiction within me that I'm not taking ownership of. Everything that is reflecting outside of you is leading you back to self, and nothing is happening within your field by coincidence. Listen to us carefully. We go back to the idea of the projector. The projector is emanating light. A movie is playing out what seems to be outside of you on the wall. But that movie are all the definition and the fields and the data of what's inside the projector. So your reality outside of you, and listen carefully, everyone, what is playing out outside of you that seems to be separate than you, maybe your cousin, your friend, workplace, whatever, witnessing on TV, are all playing out outside of you because of the definitions and fields within you. So you are not connected to what is occurring outside of you. On the opposite, on the contrary, what is happening outside of you is all leading you back to self. This doesn't mean that you have addiction. This doesn't mean that you have trauma. This doesn't mean this or that, the idea and illusion of that the mind will take you on this path. This is simply to begin to witness what is happening outside of me is truly a message, a path that is leading me back to self that I am connected to. Because the moment you begin to see yourself as whole, the moment you begin to love yourself unconditionally, the moment you begin to witness yourself as God, the moment you begin to see your whole story, your whole life as the point, as a value, equal value to everything else, is where the reflection outside of you will begin to shift, where you will begin to be able to see with the lens of unconditional love, with the lens of oneness, with the lens of wholesomeness, what once you saw outside of you as unwhole. And from that lens, you begin to experience a different shade of reality, a different shade of knowingness that you could not have achieved or seen until that work was done within you. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. Everything is within you. Everything is about self. Everything is allowing you to witness the different and infinite shades and infinite lenses that exist within you, allowing you to witness God everywhere else around you. And that is the point. And that is enlightenment. That is expansion. That is remembering you are all shades and forms of everything. And with the opening of the heart, the idea of compassion. That yes, you may witness atrocities outside of you. You may witness acts that are perhaps within the physical mind are not aligned, or are bad, or are evil, or are hurtful, or are of victimhoods, etc., etc. Even that is a shade of creation. Even that God is playing out a role of. But what is that allowing you to do when you witness such intense experiences? It allows your heart to stretch with compassion, because even love has an infinite shade within it. Even love is infinite in nature, and all of these experiences outside of you are all designed to allow your heart to expand, so you can feel and see and taste and experience how infinite that idea of love is. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Mantis beings, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have anything else you'd like to add, if not, you can send Toni back in.
We are forever grateful for these connections and these remembrances. As remember, even through our lens, we are also expanding through this dialogue. Even through us living through you and witnessing you fully for who you are allows us to expand into our version of whom we are. And everything that humanity has gone through, everything that humanity will go through, everything that humanity is going through the infinite shades, gives us the gift to understand what the infinite is. And we witness each and every one of you fully in your honor, in your privilege, in your empowered state. And we are forever grateful for you choosing for us to speak with you in this way, as you gift us our own expansion through your lens. And in turn, you allow the one God source itself to expand and become more conscious of itself through your precious lenses. Each and every one of you are precious grid points of the fabric of the universe. And each and every one of you are of equal value to everything else within the infinite. We thank you, unconditional love, to each and every one of you. Through the darkness of the shadows, we go to see ourselves in everything. We will bring the channel back momentarily as we head back to the Antares Stargate.
I'll give you a minute there. It's interesting, the last podcast that we did, and then the multiple times I've seen you channel in public, in Sedona and stuff. I knew to think about my words and how I formulate the sentence, right? And I thought I only had a handful of questions. The rest of it was going to be bounce and go and intuitively guided. Um, but I thought, oh, I think I've expanded on some stuff. I can say this question. And then as we got deeper into it, I was like, oh, my questions are constricted. My questions have judgment. My questions are standardized questions. And that's when I was seeing them move on the page, and only a few would stay. And they're like, use this word instead of this word. And I was like, thank you, Mantis Beings. You're working with me as Toni is channeling you. This is so amazing. And I hope every viewer feels and sees that, and we can expand on a topic that I think has been so close lid and had one belief system.
Totally. What you just described, thank you for putting it in English word, human language. What you just described is awakening within your field. You're becoming conscious and aware. And of course, that will continue to happen. You're not going to get to a state where all of a sudden you're rewording things so like mantis. Eventually, that will happen. But that continual remembrance of catching yourself, oh my God, like there's a shade of judgment in here, is literally the point. And then soon enough, it will accelerate and your whole engine becomes, and everything will begin to shift. So that's how it works. That's how it happens. And this is the uncon becoming conscious to the unconscious, like within us, right? But even if you catch yourself, don't judge that you were unconscious of that. It's another form of judgment. So for people out there, it's not about getting, I always tell people, we're never going to get to a stage where I'm like, oh, I've reached unconditional love. It's never going to happen. Yes, you've reached a higher level, a more expanded state of unconditional love compared to the moment before it. And that point, that stepping into the next step is always more expanded than the next. And but we're infinite beings, so we're never gonna reach infinity. Like, good luck reaching infinity. So, you know what I mean? And all of it is, and I always bring it back because they like drilled it into my consciousness. Like everything is being created and formed. Like, listen, created. Even the word created is coming from a creator, right? So why would a creator do it to begin with?
Yeah.
For experience, so we can be present with it, so we can understand, so we can taste it, so we can feel it, so we can know it, so it can become part of us, so we can see it is part of us, it is part of the infinite. Like, that's how we begin to remember we're infinite beings, by experiencing every point of the infinity.
Mm.
But through our logic, our society, no, 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 no. This side of the spectrum is what everything is, and just make sure you're here. Forget about that one. Well, sweetheart, that's not the infinite. That's half of the infinite. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
yes.
but
Thank
we're,
you.
yeah, but we're unconscious. Yeah, I mean, if I look back at my life before COVID, although it took me 2 years to understand what was happening, uh, like before COVID, if somebody spoke to me like this, I'm like, you're freaking insane. You're like, I'm not conscious that what I'm conscious of now. So it's little pieces, little seeds. And our intention is big, guys. I'm gonna repeat this in like regular English now that I'm back here. They always tell me, do not discount the idea of intention. And even as I'm saying it, they're here again. My eyes are closed because I'm in it again. They're taking me into this path as like they drop me into the mind of humans and of mine. Like when I say the word in intention, built in within it, I want to know what the result is. I want to know what the steps are. I want to know what the destination is.
Yeah.
That's a prison.
Yes.
They want us to know simply by intending something without knowing anything after it. You don't know the steps, you don't know where it's heading, but you have a feeling of something better or greater or whatever. That is the injection. I don't know why I'm saying injection with like a needle. I hate needles in my arms. But anyways, and the injection into our system that begins to like formulate things to get us to that destination. So don't discount just the declaration to the universe. I talk to myself when I'm pooping, when I'm peeing, when I'm showering, in between clients, even I'm talking to you something like I'm constantly dialoguing with myself. So do that. Don't be as crazy as you can. And the more you step outside of the bounds of society, the beautiful. If you guys know me when I'm on stage, I'm quite dramatic. my I am my own example of breaking away from the paradigm without fear, without judgment. I don't care how you see me. I don't care whether you get it or not. It doesn't matter because all that matters is my state of being because I'm creating my own reality. So have that courage to become the beacon of light, to become the paradigm shifter, the paradigm breaker in your community, at work, within your family, with it like because then you become the example for others to do it because in reality each and every one of us have so many desires, have so many things we want to experience, have so many things we want to break out of, but we're afraid, we're suppressing it. All of us are suppressed. To you, I may seem quite out there. I have a lot of suppression still. I'm still working through a lot of them. We can dialogue those later. And it's not about getting to a point where, oh, I'm finally open, all my suppression is gone. No, it's just becoming more aware, and the acceleration of becoming aware and conscious happens faster and faster and faster, and just life begins to change, and you begin to see the beauty in everything, and like, oh my freaking God, God is everywhere. I mean, I sell real estate, I sell homes to people, and I tell people to buy houses. That's my job, right? Last year, I've fallen into this awakening of like, I don't want to. I'm gonna sell my house, and I want to live like I don't want to die whenever I die, 80, 90, 100, whatever I'm gonna live, realizing I didn't experience my mother Earth, and I've only lived in DC, and I've been to a few countries around the world or whatever. I want to experience my mother planet. I want to taste the
Yes.
water on my whole planet. I want to smell the wind on my whole planet. I want to see the type of trees. I want to talk to all the humans all over the planet. I want to eat the food. I want to, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you begin to realize those things that are even owning a home is within spirituality is a confine, is a prison that ties me to a place when my home is my fucking mother planet.
Yes.
And the beauty that exists within everywhere. I want to see the insects all over the world. I want to see the animal because it's all God in forms.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you awaken to that, and this doesn't mean I don't own a home and have a base and blah, 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 but it's just awakening to my own self of like, wow, you know what? There's even a prison within a prison that seems so beautiful of owning a home. And I'm from Washington, and I love Washington, D.C. I absolutely love this state, this area. Some people are like, really? I'm like, it's absolutely home to me. But also, I'm beginning to recognize everywhere else is home for me.
Hmm.
You know, and it's that yearning, it's that love, it's that really beginning to see the world from a different lens, to begin to really witness God everywhere and in everything, everything,
Yes.
everything. To me, that is oneness. To me, that is awakening. To me, that is being present in those moments. You know, whether I get to experience my Mother Earth in its totality in this lifetime or not, whatever, I can experience it through meditation. I can transport, I can teleport, whatever. But it's, anyways, it's, yeah.
Very powerful, Tony. Thank you so much. Now, I know that we've gone on for a little bit, but hey, where can everybody find you?
Yes, my first name, last name.com, Toni Ghazi, Toni, spells with an I, not a Y, Ghazi. That's my website. That's my woo-woo spiritual channeling crazy website. Working on a new website for corporations for the 3D, for like leading with heart, leading with conscious. But the ToniGhazi.com is the like main one where you see all my events and all my social media. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Antarian Heart, and you'll see it somewhere where it's spelled out. Um, I'm gonna be on Gaia soon. I was filmed. That will be released probably in this month or next month. So you'll see an episode about the praying mantis beings on like Beyond Belief. I'm also in a documentary about corporate coaching. I'm the crazy woo-woo guy that will come out in 2027 on Amazon. I'm also gonna be in another documentary that's gonna be filmed. Netflix, I think maybe Amazon, also on Gaia, about the rise. The rise in consciousness in leadership or something like that, again about corporations, like working with leaders, how to lead with heart. um, a book will be coming out soon. I have praying mantis crystal skulls. I'm the only one in the world that creates them. They sell out quite quickly, so when you go online you may see like sold out, but you can like you can DM me. This is my second version. I have a third version coming out that's very mantisy. It's going to be amazing. What else? I don't know what the future holds. Like there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. Yeah, reach out to me. My email is there. I'm super responsive. Come to my events. Oh, we should talk about this. I'm having a intimate Maryland like event that's an hour away like from us, like, at a witchy farm. Then I'm gonna repost on my social media. where I'll be channeling, I'll be having sessions. I also bought Roxy. I don't know if you know Roxiva. Have you
I don't
experienced
think
Roxy?
so.
It's this flashing light that like goes above you where you close your eyes and you go into a psychedelic state
Oh,
for 12
nice.
minutes. But you have to sign like a waiver. If you have epilepsy or anything like that, you cannot do that
Or
because
migraines, yes, of course.
or migraines. So I'll
Mm.
educate you. So it will be part of my gift that I will do there. So it's a very intimate place for people that are local that can drive to experience the Mantis in real life. You get to see me. So like we'll talk about it more for your
What's the
audience.
date? And I mean, because I'll put everything in the description below.
Okay,
Guys, don't
so
worry about writing anything down. I'll have his email, I'll have his website, et cetera, et cetera.
yes.
What's the date?
So let me look at my calendar quickly. It's July 18th at
Okay.
Witchy Wonders Farm. And I'll send you the like thing, the ad so you can see it.
Well,
So
you
that's
know, I live here, so I'm going to be going.
I know. I mean,
I know, right?
It's an
Maybe I'll
hour away
see you
from
in
you.
Maryland.
Sure. And it's on a beautiful farm. Like the owner is very like witchy and very into
Mhm.
woo-woo, and she has her own audience, and her friend will be there. I'm like Kate, and she also like does. So the three of us will be there doing intimate stuff for a day. It's just for a day for
Wonderful.
like 5 or 6 hours. So it'll
Yeah,
be
it's great.
yeah.
Well, I will have everything in the description. So listen, keep it spiritually simple, my friends. Remember to hit subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, anything that helps the algorithms, kind of speed this video along and in front of a device near you. So someone else gets it, it pops up. And if there's any topics you'd like us to talk about, let us know. And you've got to hit the subscribe or you're going to miss upcoming episodes. And also go back and look at my other episode with Tony and the Mantis. And he's going to be on quite regularly, so you will see him. And we'll figure out what Spirit wants us to talk about next. So thank you, everyone. Say goodbye, Tony.
Bye, guys. We love you. You're the gift. Each and every one of you are the gift, and that's where we're awakening to. Your voice, your lens, your way, the way you see the world, the way you articulate, the way you experience will only be experienced by you. And until you fully fall into loving fully who you are, that's awakening.
Yes.
Because you're that one facet, the men's being said, that one day will complete the image for God. You're the last piece of the puzzle that when you fully love yourself and know that you are it, God itself will get its whole image. Because even God is like searching for itself, by the way. There is no, because it's an infinite energy. So that's how precious you are. And that's what we're awakening to.
Yes. All right, brother. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys. Love you, Sandra.
Love you, Tony.